Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. The current Warzone meta is pretty defined, let's be honest. The absolute meta category right now is filled with some pretty obvious choices, but within the absolute meta category itself, there are, a lot of different style options. Some long range, some close range, some snipers. Everything's in the mix, right? And so today I wanted to go through, do my best to break down and rank the top 10 best meta weapons and meta loadouts that we've got in the game right now. Obviously, Season 4 Reloaded is inbound. We should see another major meta update and weapon balancing update with that. And I always like to drop these videos a little bit before the next major seasonal or mid-season update, just to have that reference point to see just how drastically a meta may or may not shift with any seasonal update. But that said, starting first here at number 10, if this is number 10 on the list, you know it's going to be a solid top 10. The GPR. This is a do-it-all rifle. This build is more so meant for like mid to long range. It's got some versatility in it for sure, but you could build the GPR out to be a fantastic sniper support choice, but more that like AR SMG hybrid style play, exclusively mid-range, exclusively long range. This thing is about as versatile as it gets. It's one of my favorite weapons in the game, and it's also insanely easy to use. Low recoil, good velocity. Thing just feels fantastic here. So pretty standard setup, all things considered. I am rocking the Willis 3x optic. This is really a matter of preference. I flip-flop a bunch of my different optics, whether it's a Otero red dot, a Jason Armory 2x, a Volsky reflex, a Willis 3x. It's all preference. Whatever you're comfortable with here for an optic, rock that each and every setup. Monolithic suppressor on here, stacking that velocity and damage range with the reinforced barrel. We end up with a 1209 velocity and a 43 meter effective damage range. Pretty solid, all things considered there. This thing's TTK does drop off a little bit as you get into like the long range, its final damage drop off, but it's so easy to use that your realistic TTK, when you factor in accuracy, is still going to be plenty competitive there. Vertical foregrip makes this thing as easy as possible when it comes to predicting that horizontal pattern. That's obviously the most difficult to predict out of horizontal and vertical. So anytime you can minimize that, that's a great thing. And then extended 2 here is going to be a 60 rounder with the 714 RPM. The DPM stat there will be just fine for all squad sizes. So this thing is straightforward. It's reliable. It's solid. Next up at number 9, we've got the DM10. This is a bit of a higher skill gap gun. That's why it's a little bit further down on the list here, because it is semi-auto. It factors in so much accuracy, and then also maintaining a max fire rate cap, or as close to for as long as possible, in order to be considered that absolute meta option. But if you can spam this thing fast and you can land shots on enemies, this thing is just going to shred. It's got one of the best TTK stats in the entire game, quite honestly. So takes a little bit of time to get used to learn, to master, but once you do so, it's worth it. This is high risk, high reward for sure. So here for the optic, as mentioned, I'm rocking the Otero red dot, another one that I really do enjoy using. Monolithic suppressor, stacking that velocity and range, and then reinforced barrel, doing more of the same there. With this on here, we've got a 1380 velocity, which is fantastic, and a 64 meter effective damage range as well. Phenomenal stats there for this style of weapon. Precision handguard on here helps out with some idle sway, so it's a little bit easier to use just as you're ADSing. It's always solid on a semi-auto gun like this. Plus, as you're spamming it, you get some horizontal recoil control boost on there too, so that's a win-win. Extended 2 is only going to be a 30 rounder here, but obviously it being semi-auto, you're sort of spamming through that at your own pace. Even at the max fire rate cap, you're not going to necessarily burn through that, so this will be sufficient for sure for all squad sizes on there. I do like quick draw rear grip because we got a gunfighter loadout on here. Just makes it a little bit more snappy and aggressive. Buffer weight stock, obviously exclusive to only a few weapons in the game, this being one of them, helps out a ton with that recoil control as you're spamming. And then lastly, rapid fire. I love this on semi-auto guns because it doesn't hurt the range and the velocity like it would on a fully auto gun. It's only hurting the control. We've obviously countered that with some of our other recoil based attachments, and increasing the fire rate here means your potential TTK is even faster if you can keep up that fire rate. So this thing has just some insane potential, albeit because of a higher difficulty. Now at number 8, I've got the Ladra. SMGs, as phenomenal as some of these are that are going to be on this list here today, can only be so high up on a general top 10 when you're trying to compare rifles and snipers and SMGs alike, just because these are not as versatile as some other options, but they are phenomenal for what they are, and that is close range beasts. And the Ladra is exactly that. It's fast, it's agile, easy to use, pretty solid range, and of course a super quick TTK up close. So here initially I'm rocking the long barrel, extending out that damage range to 15.5 meters, which is pretty solid for an SMG, especially when it's got a quick TTK in that effective damage range. Ranger foregrip for me personally on this, I really do like the sprinting movement speed benefit there, plus some horizontal recoil control is never bad. If you find yourself doing a lot of hip firing into ADS in your close range gunfights, the G grip's going to be a great choice there as well. Extended 2 here is actually a 66, so that's really solid because this thing does have a 1071 RPM. It spits bullets, so having that extra safety net there of 66 is going to be very, very important. Quick draw rear grip for that faster ADS, just making us more aggressive. Then infiltrator stock for a better strafe speed, I think feels phenomenal on this thing. Just makes you even more agile as you're getting into gunfights here. Definitely one of my favorite subs in the game. It is reliable, it's versatile, and it's a ton of fun to use. No surprise to see the C9 on here. This thing's been a mainstay pretty much since the start of the Black Ops 6 Warzone integration. But hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This thing is still fantastic. Again, a super reliable choice, low recoil, really good range as well, and the TTK for it is insane in pretty much all damage ranges that you're going to be fighting at with an SMG here. So yet again, rocking long barrel, 17.2 meter effective damage range, which is even better than the Ladra here. In this case, I've sort of gone back and forth between the G grip and the Ranger foregrip. Both are good. It's really just a matter of preference, sort of gearing it towards your playstyle. Do you do a lot of hip fire? G grip's going to be solid as you're transitioning into that ADS. Do you do just a lot of movement based stuff? Do you want a faster sprinting speed? Go for Ranger. There's no wrong answer here. Vertical would be viable as well. Like, it really just comes down to how comfortable you are with the gun and what your style of play is like. Extended 2 here, 50 rounder, that'll work. That's sufficient for a 732 RPM. Quick draw rear grip for that faster ADS, of course. Then I do like recoil springs on here. Just make this thing laser accurate. Getting that free horizontal and free vertical control is pretty solid there. Never a bad thing when you can make an easy gun even easier to use, of course. So this thing, it melts. And by the way, as we are breaking down all the weapons and setups here today, if you enjoy the video, you find the info helpful, a like rating is always seriously appreciated. Much love to everyone who takes the time to do so. And if you're new to the channel, you want to guarantee that each and every day you're in the know for all things going on in COD, no better place than right here. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. Next up at number 6, I've got the LC10, probably the best SMG right now. Obviously, it's a close competition between this, the C9, the Ladra, all fantastic choices. This thing's TTK up close though just beats out those other options ever so slightly. Again, still being incredibly easy to use and super agile, a huge boost here as well. It's checking all the right boxes here. So yet again, long barrel extending out our damage range to just over 16 meters here. Ranger foregrip here is solid again. G grip works as well. Vertical foregrip would be a viable choice too. Extended 2 here is going to be a 55 with an 800 RPM. That'll get the job done. Nothing too crazy, but nothing too bad in terms of that DPM stat. Quick draw rear grip for the faster ADS, and the infiltrator stock for that better strafe. Obviously, a lot of the SMG builds here are kind of copy and paste and mix and match depending on the exact weapon's behavior, whether you need more recoil, whether you want better mobility, and of course your level of comfortability with the gun as well. But you can't go wrong with any of these. Now, at number 5, I've got the Cypher. This, much like the GPR from earlier, is a do-it-all rifle. You could use this for sniper support, mid-range, long range, doesn't matter. Especially with like a gunfighter build here, you've got the mobility, you've got the control, you've got the range. It's doing everything at an extremely high level. I love the Cypher here. So first up, I do like the Volsky Reflex quite a bit. I've been rocking that on a lot of my guns as well. Again, just sort of mixing and matching whenever you want to change things up. Find another optic you're comfortable with, or stick with the one you know works for you, either or there. Monolithic suppressor and reinforced barrel, that deadly duo yet again. We end up with a 1238 velocity, a 52 meter effective damage range on there, so that's fantastic. Vertical foregrip, obviously making this thing extremely predictable with that horizontal control boost. Extended 2 here, going to be a 60 rounder. That works fine with a 561 RPM. Fantastic damage per mag stat on this thing. Ergonomic rear grip works if you are playing a little bit more aggressive, doing a lot of slide canceling in the close to mid range. Quick draw rear grip, obviously universally great for a faster ADS. So again, just depending on your play style, how you approach gunfights, you can sort of pick and choose there. I do like balance stock a lot in this case for the faster general movement speed, the better general strafe speed as well. Infiltrator for just straight up strafe speed, never a bad choice either. Then lastly, recoil springs, more free recoil. We're never going to turn that down. This thing, even with just 5 attachments, you can cut this thing just straight up with the first 5 here. It'd be a solid meta build. With 8, it's even more versatile and it's awesome. And number 4, I've got the Grau. Maybe my favorite gun in the game right now. It's so reliable. It's so fun to use. Very reminiscent of that classic Warzone 1 Grau, which is my all-time favorite gun. I absolutely loved that thing. And this is, of course, the next closest thing to that. Low recoil, fantastic velocity, great range as well. Not going to have the craziest TTK in the world, but it's so straightforward and so easy to use that it's going to be super, super competitive, essentially over long range, or really any range, against the other main meta options in the game, right? If you're hitting more shots with this versus the number 2, number 1 options in the game, maybe this is your number one. There's absolutely an argument there for sure. Of course, the most important part here on the SWAT 556 is turning it into the Grau 556 by using that Grau 556 conversion or aftermarket part that does lock away and limit some of our attachments. We can't use a barrel, so we just rock monolithic on here. Even with this, we got a 1277 velocity, which is fantastic. 47.5 meter effective damage range is great there too. Vertical foregrip, making this thing as predictable as possible. The full auto extended mag here is the only option we can run. It's a 50. It'd be better if it was 60, but 50 will work. It's not a deal breaker by any means. Then I do like infiltrator stock on here as well for that better strafe speed. Really fun rifle setup. Like I said, maybe my favorite in the game right now. This is another obvious choice. And number 3, I've got the HDR. You could argue this is maybe number 1 because it's an infinite one shot and it's so dominant in the current meta. You could maybe argue this is 10 because it's not a full auto gun, you know, and it maybe is a little bit more difficult to consistently do well with this versus a true AR or an SMG. But in the right hands, I mean, it's so tough to beat an HDR right now. I do wish the other snipers were more competitive. I'd love to have a top 10 like this where it's not just predominantly ARs and SMGs. You know, there's 3 or 4 snipers in here as well that are all doing great things. But for now, this is the king of the sniping category. I do got monolithic on here just for the velocity and keeping me off the radar. We're stacking even more velocity with gain, twist barrel, and then even more with overpressure. The damage range doesn't matter here since it's an infinite one-shot headshot. We just care about that velocity stat, and 1207 is going to be fantastic there. Quick draw rear grip for that faster ADS, just making this thing a tad bit more snappy. We're at 585. That's pretty solid for a heavy sniper. And then lightweight bipod for the better idle sway. Again, just making this thing easier to use, more reliable. You don't always have to hold your breath to be super accurate. And the easier you can stay on target, the more dominant the HDR is going to become. Now, my number 2, I lean towards the FFAR. I do, again, think there are conversations where you could argue maybe the Grau is over this or a different gun is over this. That's a good thing. There's a lot of parity at the top of the meta. It's not just one is obviously better than absolutely everything. There are arguments for several choices here, but the FFAR, similar to the Cypher, similar to the GPR, a do-it-all rifle. Good in the mid-range, great for sniper support, maybe the best sniper support in the game. Efficient over long range as well if you can control it, which with this setup, it's not too difficult to do so. It's checking all the right boxes as well. So Otoro red dot here is going to make this thing have really, really easy visual recoil. And then you can just learn the pattern to counter the actual recoil pattern itself. So you can turn this thing into a laser beam if you want. I'm still actually leaning compensator over monolithic suppressor just with how the recoil behaves on this thing and the fire rate. I felt myself finding a lot more success with this thing when I'm testing it with the compensator versus monolithic, even though that's finally working for me now. It's really a matter of preference. If you're super comfortable with the recoil, you want that extra velocity and range, monolithic's never a bad choice, but compensator also works great. Reinforced barrel for the better range velocity, nearly an 1100 velocity stat, 54 meter effective damage range, sitting pretty there. The G grip, if you're playing more for sniper support, is going to be a solid choice here. Ranger or vertical, if you're playing more for like mid-range, long range, could also be practical. So simply a matter of where you find yourself using this gun the most. Extended to our max option here is a 60 rounder, so that's a no-brainer, of course. Quick draw rear grip for that faster ADS. Balanced stock, I really do like here again for that faster movement speed. Infiltrator is never a bad choice here either. And then once again, that free recoil, FREE, that spells free, and I'm throwing this on my loadout every single time I can, right? So really, really solid rifle, but also SMG sort of hybrid style build here, depending on the exact setup you want to roll with. Thing is great at the end of the day regardless. And then at number 1, I gotta lean the Krig, just because this is doing everything so efficiently. Once more, I think you have arguments for several other rifles potentially being in this spot, but to me, the Krig just seems the most reliable and the most efficient out of all of them now that all the buffs that it's gotten over the past few updates have sort of stacked on top of each other. Better control, better range, better velocity, everything like that. Better pizza, Papa John's. We haven't seen that in a minute, folks. The Krig's bringing it back here. This thing is nasty. So Otoro red dot for me personally. Rock whatever optic you want here. Monolithic, better range of velocity. Reinforced, better range of velocity. 1252 velo, 58 meter effective damage range. You don't got to worry about any of those stats at all. Thing is gonna melt over any range basically. Vertical foregrip, making this thing really nice and predictable. And then extended 2 here, actually a 70, which is basically exclusive to the Krig here, makes it even more efficient because your damage per mag stats now better. You have a larger safety net if you happen to miss some shots. More ammo, the merrier in this case, and it's not going to really slow you down all that much. This is a strong top 10, though. Like I said, there is a ton of parity here. You have arguments for numbers 5, 6, 7 being up in the 1, 2, 3 spot. There's so much mixing and matching you can do here to just create some ultra efficient loadouts. It's a strong top 10. It's a defined top 10. There's a pretty noticeable gap between a lot of these weapons and what falls after it and what everything beneath the absolute meta right now, but If you're looking for dominant guns, look no further than right here. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, if you found it helpful, a like rating is always really appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, you want to ensure each and every day you're in the know for all things going on in COD, be sure to hit that sub button on your way out. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.